Hi, folks. It's Rob Potter here in Mount Shasta, and I'm here with a new friend, teacher, friend of mine, Lowell Johnson.
I'm not new.
Yeah, we're we're all connected in old soul family.
Hmm.
Lowell has been up here several times since he had his experiences inside Mount Shasta, and he will be speaking at my Mount Shasta summer conference. We're doing pretty well on the ticket sales, so if you do want to come, you might want to get those soon and get your rooms. There's going to be a busy, busy weekend in
Hmm.
town. Um, Lowell and I have been having a nice long discussion here. He's been training me in keeping off of the dark side, which I'm pretty good at explaining. But um,
Hmm.
I do know that we do need to embody the higher consciousness energies, and this Mount Shasta Summer Conference, as well as the transformation that's taken place in the world, um, is about raising our frequencies. And Lowell's experience inside the mountain, which, from my intuition and my understanding, my experience, I knew immediately when I first talked to him, and he told me his description matched Bonnie, the girl who came from there, and some other people. And I knew it's exactly true and exactly real, exactly as he said it was. So um, I kind of was very much attracted to him and very excited to meet him. And I'm so honored to have you here in my house today. And I want to share with you, for those of you who follow him, uh, he has a website called 40.
40K FT view, 40,000 foot view.com. Most of the journeys there, and I like to document things, so almost every adventure has pictures associated with
He has a Facebook page and Instagram too. And he came back up, and they told him he would come and visit again to Telos, and I can imagine the excitement for him. But um, he's had many developments that he's going to share with you here, and he finally made it up here. Was it like 10 days ago or something?
it.
When
Yeah,
you
a week ago last Thursday.
within that time period, he went up to the location, and I'm not sure he's going to share that location just to get bombarded all the time, but um,
We will. We're not going to be able to keep a lid on it for much longer, and it's not like I didn't publish it after the last
right.
visit.
So the it's a portal. It's a physical.
Now we know it's a
When
portal.
when you look at it, it's a rock. You go there, you're going to touch it, you're going to feel it. But for him, he had a beautiful experience and went inside. And I'm going to let him take over now and just share his recent experience and what he had and felt. And he's sharing with me this beautiful and dark crystal, which his mentor from inside talked about in some of his visionary experiences he can't share. But tell us about the other day when you went up and what happened.
Well, it had been my intention to retrace my steps since last year. I love Shasta for reasons still unbeknownst. You just people that are meant to be here are drawn here. It's, I can spend the evening stargazing up there, and that is an event. The weather's cooperative. Anyway, I can go off on a whole reasons on why it's Shasta for me. Other people are connected to other areas, but my experience is here. I was never the guy that had a favorite trail that everybody else followed. No, I like to wander off in the woods forever because you just find more solitude and peace, and that's where I would go to meditate and really ground to nature. It was easy to do in that environment when you had the whole place to yourself. If I was going to come back to Shasta and think about one place that had a profound memory on me, it was that spot.
I would
So
think so.
that, of course, would be the first place I'd want to go back to, and so that was my intent. So since even when I came in April and had 4 days, oh, believe me, I drove up to Bunny Flats and tried to figure out what it was going to take to go. In my mind, though, I was going to have to walk. There was lots more snow on the road back then, but really, I wasn't equipped for it, and I couldn't allow a day. But I was determined to come back and do that. So when I finally, everything aligned and I was up here that Thursday, oh yes, I drove to Bunny Flats first to see what's the condition of getting all the way up to the peak. And, oh, you could, the snow's gone, but the gate's still open. Okay, see how we have to do this now. So I pick a line as the crow flies and decide I'm going to make it to this spot.
You went through the forest. You didn't go up around the edge. Okay.
No, through the forest.
Oh.
Anyway.
It's pretty woodsy there, and without a trail, you'd have to rely on your intuition. I probably would have gone around it. But you had a wonderful experience.
This time, after my last visit, and people knew I were there, of course you second guess 2020 about all the things you should have done. Like, okay, let's mark this latitude and longitude. Why didn't I think of that then? Well, plenty of people have reminded me since that I should have. So there's a compass on your iPhone, and so opening that up and taking a screenshot is secondary to me. As I started the trip from Bunny Flat to where I was going, there was trail that you could follow for a while, and then, okay, well, I'm going to have to go that way if I'm going to let my intuition guide me. And I just continued to make elevation gains, and all of a sudden, I was seeing different energetic signatures that would stand out and just draw your attention. And I got to one that wasn't too far off this trail I had followed. I was just beginning to change direction to continue as the crow flies, and found this energetic rock configuration that looked almost intentional, not by anything man would do, but this thing's cool. So I spent a little time there to enjoy it and take it in, and you could just, there's energy you can see. Well, I had other places to be, and so I continued, and in 4 additional places along the way, I had taken these compass screenshots of energetic things I was drawn to. When I got home and I plotted them on Google, I did not go as the crow flies. I went up and then I went that way, but I was meant to do that. Every perspective that I looked at, and these places that looked like fairylands, was a view. One of them had a tree that had to have relevance. I have not seen pine trees where branches grow curved up like a cactus. This one had 2. Anyway.
The whole mountain is a wonderland, folks, by the way. So anywhere you go, you're going to find a majestic beauty and a silence and a presence of the energy here. And you had mentioned, I think he put a post on Facebook and on his website. You had mentioned that, I don't know if this is the first time, but you noticed that since your last experiences, your inner development, you're now able to sense and see the energy vortexes. I think you kind of indicated they're kind of like feet on rocks, a little bit of a shimmering.
Yeah. There's other things that have changed in a cellular level, so awareness has been raised. I can see energetic signatures if I focus on it enough. It just feels like that's evolved. However it did, we'll see if we can point fingers to it, but I get to see things in greater detail. Color spectrums that's deeper, things that just make sense automatically, but seeing these energy signatures as like heat rising but with form is interesting. The day that I climbed, and I won't go through it because we're just teasing you to come to the conference and I'll fill you in.
No,
and I might even take you there. However, I posted that on my blog account. You can go take a look at it. And if that doesn't raise your curiosity some more, then do your homework on Lemuria and Telos. Because while you're here on the mountain, it reminded me the first day I went hiking that we're standing on Telos.
We are. And one of the things, when I got here a long time ago, and I'm not that psychic or sensitive, but I always thought that ridge, I said, that goes back, I think that was I said, there's an air tunnel or something there. I think that's an entrance point there. There have been images also of flying saucers right along that ridge. So there may be some sort of interdimensional vortex. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, there is a trail that goes a little bit below it, about maybe 20 or 30 yards. Did you finally connect with that trail as you got?
I went back the same way, although I had approached it differently because you can't drive up to the parking lots in Pantry Meadows.
Right.
And that part, first of all, was just so staggeringly different because this is a place where the parking lots are full always. Families, cars, campers, hikers. The place is always jammed. I had it to myself. I had come up kind of the back of Shastina and over that way where normally you'd come up Everett Memorial Highway. And when I did and came over the ridge, which going as the crow flies, your accomplishments are not what you think they are. Because when I made the altitude change to 8120, there was another valley I had to negotiate. Yeah, down and up again on the other side. Anyway, when I finally got to the other side and I looked, there is a pathway that leads from that parking area that goes this way where most people like to take the old ski bowl trail. This is, yes, it's there. I've never really seen anybody take it, but that is in the direction where I had thought maybe those might be some cave openings. That's what drew me to the area in the first place. And then it's all off-road up to it. But just like I saw energy signatures as I was coming through the other parts of the forest, that place that had opened up for me before was a signature. And I could see the opening was there.
For those of you who haven't heard the story, I won't have them go through that experience, but maybe just talk about the first opening, and then of course maybe take us from when this time you face the entrance, not this way. But
well, I would still have my back to it, but the first time I was there, I was hunting on the way up to what I thought were caves. The day before, I had looked from a picnic table, and it looked like across Shastina, there were areas where it was darkened by the shadow of the sun, and wow, I've always liked cave hunting, and I thought they had promise. So I thought one day I'll just go explore that and see what they turn into. And as you climb up into areas, when you got off the trail that kind of fit that description, you could sense little energy portals on the way. So you'd see a rock cropping with one tree coming out of it, and you'd stand in the middle of it, and oh my God, there's an energy change here. And then I saw another one over here. It looked similar, but a little bit bigger, and went to experience that one. And as I was getting grounded there, now there's one that's more like an outcropping against Shastina. 3 boulders, except this one on this side was narrow enough so that it was almost a little taller than crotch high, so I could get over it. And man, here's this cool little maybe 10-foot area where you can sit. Your back is against Shastina, and the brush that's overgrown there is kind of dry from the sun. And that particular day, I had had water and some grapes, and I was just kind of taking in the energy, which was rather fun, when I sensed what I thought first was a shadow coming from behind me, and I saw that, and then there was a breeze that came from behind me.
You're like,
the rest of the Telos account we'll leave there, but I'll connect the next one to that when I went up this last time, only to pay tribute to a place that I'd been there before. I had actually set down the crystals facing the mountain and the parking lot. And I was about to exchange that energy here, plant my light, and when I was just about ready to, here comes that breeze again. This time when I turned around, the portal was open, and Shiama, who I had met in the council chambers the last time, there she is in all her 8-foot glory and this green gown that looked like a hologram.
a green gram, so it's shimmering like a hologram. And did she have any necklace or headbands? And
She didn't need it.
her color, I know she wouldn't need that. But was her
If
her
they're
hair-
born in the same way that I see those energy signatures, that was a dress that had like green that could do that.
her hair's kind of white, right? Like us old people.
Yes. Flawless. She's 8 feet tall. She makes a striking presence.
How about her eyes? Are they kind of like you look, or
They're bluish if you called it that. But again, it's hard to make human attributes to I'm convinced that here is what happens when your cellular structure is more crystalline. You look ages, because you don't age. None of these people's age. I appear to be changing a bit myself. In the last 2 years, 35 pounds. It wasn't a diet. It just just makes you crave different things. And then your body knows where its center's supposed to be. And somehow I've just found the way to tune it all in. Not by my intent.
It's just natural occurrence.
Just got there.
So there are obviously, folks, this is in a remote area of the mountain, and with the mountain closed, there was no people around, and it was quite secluded up there. You can ride your bike up the road. It's quite a hike. I can't imagine how. Probably pretty.
15,223 steps.
Yeah, it was.
And the equivalent
of
74 floors of elevation.
74, yeah. It's like climbing the Empire State Building almost. So, plus moving forward. So, tell us about your internal process. Was it a telepathic communication?
Oh no, we had a conversation for about a half an hour.
Okay.
I'll direct people to read it on the blog. And there are some things that will remain secret for now that we talked about. But the bottom line is the fact that they're making themselves present again. And I had heard through some group blogs that they were going to do so on the 26th. So I thought, oh, this is great. I'll be present today. I don't know that manifested itself, but it did in my case. And they are waiting for the same thing we're all waiting. That the world we've been waiting for is like a chip shot away. They're preparing themselves for us and the resulting raise in consciousness for them to reveal themselves and integrate back with people on the surface. They know it's close to. I take great comfort in this again. And again, I had no intention of making any contact. It wasn't my expectation, and yet here we go. The last time around, I had 2 questions when I left. Can I come back? And they said yes. Of course, they didn't say how and when. And can I tell others about my experience? And absolutely, you can tell anybody. It's not like they're going to find their way here. And people need to know that we are here and we're real. And sooner or later, we're all going to integrate again.
When you got the vision that we're going to win this very close in time chip shot or the energetic shift with a flash or event, did you get the feeling that immediately they're going to come out in mass and show themselves to a lot more people, or is this going to still be kind of a gradual, like you, maybe some other people, more experience, or?
I gotta believe that there are other emissaries that they've had
course.
communications
Yeah.
But no, they are ready and anxious. They're anxious to share what technologies they've got. And from their perspective, we're still wonderfully creative. There's wonderful qualities about human beings. We create things from an emotional standpoint, and at their stage, in a 4th or 5th dimension, logic pretty much rules. So when they get to imagine if we could take the technologies they have and use our emotional co-creativeness, wow, what a package it's going to be. That's what I sense that they have in mind when the 2 entities combined again, and humanity will see the 5th dimension for the first time ever. Humanity's never evolved to 5th dimensional consciousness yet.
So we will see the 5th dimension on the Earth, or will this happen in a moment, everything shifts, or?
Your consciousness will be aware of one condition in a moment, and the next moment you will have a completely new awareness of where you've always wanted to go.
We were talking about this privately before. It's kind of like, so it's going to be kind of like an acid trip or something, kind of like an ayahuasca. The journey's going to go from normal to all of a sudden
those places give you glimpses of that.
I know.
They absolutely do. But those are the ways that our human psyche needs to be put in terms so that we can kind of understand. I don't know that there's any great examples for any of it that's going to happen, and I certainly don't understand it in its entirety. But the way that I do understand it is that there will be some kind of a solar phenomenon. Just like every day we're being influenced by energy coming from the sun, and we're just another sentient force here. We're absorbing it with everything else. Over time, our DNA has been changed by cosmic influences, just like the Earth has. And we're to the point where, man, that's going to kick in. And whatever we had here waiting for us to trigger and remember, here it comes.
Very interesting. I think we need to enjoy nature and a little more. I get a little wrapped up in my day-to-day earthly world, but tuning into the higher frequencies is really what it's about. I talk about a lot of earthly things, but the goal is to help people to awaken to the realities, the hidden, some of them purposely hidden realities and some naturally hidden, that are going to help us transform and understand the true nature of ourselves. People, you want to go to Telos, you want to go on a journey. It really, we talked about this as well. It's inside of us, right? It's a state of mind.
Yeah. Just like me, when people used to say in the past, "Oh, you can go there right now," I go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah,"
Yeah.
and didn't understand what that meant. I do understand what it means now, and yes, you can when your level of awareness opens up to that. Then the things that had been inside of you all along, that have been unlocked and you just forgotten, all of a sudden the key is here, and those abilities have been restored. Now, what are you going to do with the abilities?
I think love and share and try to create something new, positive. I think that's what is going to be more available, is people will have a higher sense of knowledge, of knowing the laws of the universe and the higher frequencies that are available to us, and be able to use them to fix some of the wrong things that we have allowed to develop from our collective conscious, which has maybe been misdirected towards material things, towards a more spiritual and a holistic, life-respecting view of the world. I think that's where I think people need to get working. And he kind of chided me for my focusing and talking about some of the negative things, but I still think we need to know them. But I don't hold that energy, and I don't think people should hold that energy. I think people now, those light workers, you out there, start to work on positive ideas. Start to gather with people and create communities and associations.
The communities will find you. The tribe shows up. Once you radiate whatever light has been put inside of you, people are just drawn, and it's not to you, it's to something that even you don't understand. But the tribe's showing up. It's happening here this year. I got family up here, and I visited last year for a month. The tribe has grown, and everyone's getting accounted for. The clock is ticking, and everyone's aware that something is going to happen. I sensed before I got here, and even my son said, "Well, what are you going up there for?" Something's going to happen. I just don't know what it is yet, but something's going to happen. It did happen.
Yeah, it was good that you didn't have the expectation, like going knocking on a rock. Hello, I'm here. You obviously know they're here. What if you could share? I know you told me some things. If you can share a little bit of some of the information that you got without going into the things that they asked you not to talk about, or that probably shouldn't be revealed right now. If you can share a little bit of, you mentioned about having kind of a experience of a vision of yourself in a fifth dimension, or share as much as you can of the interaction.
That's a different wormhole you want me to go down. We'll talk about past life regression at another time, and how it benefited me. Absolutely, I've connected the dots. I understand it, but it wasn't an overnight process, and things were placed in your path from unbeknownst places that just in retrospect, okay, it got me to the next state of awareness and just reminded me of what had been unlocked that I now have the key to unlock. But I will share what Shyama said. And the first thing that occurred to me, well, when she opened it, she said, so they call you Starbuck now.
Actually, you call yourself Starbuck, right?
I do, but how in the world, it got to their ears, I don't know. It's just amazing what they do know and reflect back to you like that.
Yeah.
My question was, she's this close to terra firma. Why doesn't she step up? There's the opening right on the other side of that hump I went over the last time. She's standing right there. And I already knew intuitively the answer, that in order for her to step in this environment, she's got to drop the vibration to match it. And I thought, who would do that? And she said, well, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Then I wanted to know, it certainly came around in those regressions that I wasn't Telos. Back then, I chose to come through the back door and assist from this side when the time came for that reunification was going to take place. I wanted to know more about who I was. And I said, can you tell me a little more about who I was in Telos? She said, well, those things are coming back to you. And I said, well, was there a name that I went by? Can you tell me that? She says, well, that'll come back to you too, but in the meantime, I'm fond of Starbuck.
Okay.
Then we went on to talk about a topic that is a little more private and needs to remain secret for now. It's just magic on things that are placed in your path, and this is one of those.
How did the conversation end? Did she say, you just kind of sensed it was over, and she said, see you again, or walk in the light, or God bless you, or hang in there? Or...
We spent almost the last half of the time. I was probably there for an hour, and the last half was just looking out at Shasta from where I was, and that image of that whole area that's normally so busy. And intuitively, this is ending. This is all going to change sometime soon. So while you're here, humans, that chose to come here to understand and learn, express yourself physically in this beautiful environment, today is the day to do it. Enjoy it as is, because there are other things that are going to change. We are here for a cosmically historic event to watch Earth shift into a higher consciousness, and all of us are in alignment. Get to go on.
And to partake in it. The Queen of Venus told me the exact same thing. She says, cherish each day and each moment, and live life to its fullest, more or less. And so living in the here and now is important. It's hard to do sometimes when you got all this stuff going around you, but I want to thank you so much for sharing
It's good to see you, buddy.
this brief experience. And
you still got Epiphany in your hand. Right?
Yeah,
Good. She's doing her work.
And coming by and talking to me today, sharing your light and wisdom with me, and giving our audience some confidence of what's taking place.
See you at the end of August out there.
And more contacts. There's I'm going to say a name here called Kim Jim. This is another contactee. He's asked not to be reveal this information yet, but he's having some experiences, went to another world, and spoke before a scientific group. He's quite technological, and he's working with some unique beings, and he's working on a book, and he said not to reveal it, talk about the experience until it's done, but I think he's going to come next year to the conference for sure. And another woman named Vivian Chauvet, who I've listened to, is another very unique contactee, and I'm very excited to learn and spend more time with her. She has some Arcturian connection and claims to have been a hybrid. Her mother was an Earth woman with Arcturian stuff, and she's been on board the ship with her mother and stuff like that. And I normally don't question those things, but I'm learning to not question people who have these extra dimensional experiences so much. I've had them myself, and I sometimes want to look a little too closely and chivel off the rock feathers, but there's lots of wonderful, positive things coming. So keep your eyes on the skies. You never know what may be coming down, and keep your intent in your heart and make it pure and good. Thank you, Starbuck, and we'll talk to you again soon. And I'm going to do a little meeting sign out. All right, folks, we'll see you again. Thank you very much.